It's your girl, Gypsy Rose DeVille, your sister from another mister, and your favorite Capricorn. Breaking up with a narcissist is far more difficult than any other typical breakup. This journey is so intense and overwhelming on every level. It is so imperative to begin this journey with a passionate intention to move forward and heal. Narcissistic abusers do not let go of their victims easily. Even if they are the ones who left you, in their mind, you're a toy on a shelf that whenever they get ready to come back and play, they always think they can come back. And they never think that what they have done to you is bad enough for you to just leave them alone completely. You should always forgive them. Their victims are possessions. They feel entitled to you. You are not a person. And if the narcissist is the one that got discarded, they could possibly go on an entire rampage. They get so vengeful, so angry. It's like, how dare you be sick of my bullshit? Are you serious right now? Are you for real, for real? Oh, you sick and tired of being sick and tired of my bullshit? I know you've only forgiven me 100 million times, but damn. But honestly, their vengeance, it can get dangerous. So it's one of those things that you have to maneuver carefully in this situation. Also, if you break up with a narcissist, they love to create these campaigns that make you the bad guy and them the victim. Because remind you, the problem with dating a covert narcissist, those that truly have this deep-seated personality disorder, is that they've created an entire persona for everybody else, and even for you. That's why you fell for them. But they are always coming across as these wonderful people, as these upstanding citizens, great fathers and wives, or, whatever. So whenever you leave them, everybody else is looking at it like, well, dang, I thought y'all were goals. What happened? Y'all can't work it out? Not realizing that you get tortured every time you're behind closed doors. I mean, you ain't say nothing either, so I digress, because speaking from experience. But there is reasons that it is harder to break up with a narcissist because there are so many effects from the abuse that you continue to suffer from for a period of time. So because we don't realize that we were even abused for most of the relationship, by the time you even realize that you've been abused, it's like, oh, and it's been happening so long. These breakups with a narcissist, it becomes harder than just, we're gonna go our separate ways mutually. This thing is a devastating thing because there's so many levels to the abuse that has fucked you up mentally. You don't even know it. You really go through a grieving process after your breakup with them. And most of us don't make it all the way through the process before we revert back. But you're gonna go through all those stages: denial, shock, disbelief, anger, bargaining, depression, loneliness, reflection. You get to acceptance. Most of the time is when you get to this level that the narcissist try to come back. Anytime you get to any level of peace, it's like there's a radar that goes off that says, do-do-do. They're too happy. They're too happy. Abort mission. Abort mission. This is not a drill. They come running. It's so many levels during the grieving process because this person intertwines themselves so deeply into your life, your heart, mind, soul, and body that it's literally like tearing your own flesh off of you. It's crucial. There's also a level of Stockholm syndrome, and that's a result of the trauma bond, and I'll discuss that in a second. This is where, as the victim, you miss your abuser, like long for them. You love them, but it doesn't matter that they tortured you for a decade. I love him. I miss him so much. Just long to be back with them in this miserable situation that you went out of your way to try to escape from. There's that level of PTSD. That's a result of the betrayal trauma, which we'll discuss in a minute. You literally suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome because it's traumatic the way narcissists end the relationship, which might as well talk about betrayal trauma. That's usually how a narcissist leaves the relationship. And when they leave, you are left and destitute. You are left hurting. They usually have no explanation. You are blindsided. You find out some secrets or something gets exposed that you would have never guessed, because narcissists always have double lives. It could be a whole nother family, or they could have like addictions, or most of them have sex addictions especially, but it could be other addictions as well. Or they could be doing something far more sadistic. I mean, it goes there. And then it's like, to me, you know, the one person who did everything for you, gave you everything, you would do this to me. So this betrayal is so traumatizing. It is so gut-wrenchingly mortifying to the mind, body, and spirit and soul. When I say it's an unbearable thing, I would rather him have just died, you know, and let me just grieve. And I'm left with this betrayal trauma. That's where that post-traumatic stress syndrome comes from. And you realize that the reason you even stayed with him so long was because of your trauma bonds. The reason nobody knows what you went through is because of your trauma bonds. And trauma bonds, that is a result of an abusive love cycle. There is a narcissistic abusive love cycle, and I explain that in another video. I'll make sure I leave the link up. Because of the love cycle that you endure during your narcissistic abusive relationship, it causes you to become protective of the abuser, and you romanticize the relationship. So again, with your Stockholm syndrome, you're missing them, and all you're thinking about are all the things you miss about them and how they made you feel and how it all began, and like you've never had a connection like this. Nobody has ever, you know, made you feel that special, because in the beginning of the love cycle, you get love bombed in the most amazingly romantic movie way. And you don't realize that that is part of their, you know, grooming process. But like I said, go to the other video. But because of how it starts, you are always going to relate him or her to that person that they sold to you in the beginning. So when they act out, you're believing that that is the exception. Like, there's a reason for that, or it could be because of this, or I did do this. Because in a narcissistic abusive relationship, there are so many levels of abuse. So you don't understand this while you're going through it, though, because in your mind, it's not abuse. You don't realize that's what's happening. And to be honest with you, most narcissists don't even realize they're doing it. They're so broken and empty that they don't even realize how much they hurt people, or why you ask them, I don't know. I mean, 10 years of marriage, and not once could I ever get an explanation. It was always, I don't know. How do you not know? You don't even have a reason. I wasn't important enough to at least let this be worth something, because it didn't have to be worth something. It's just because they wanted to. That's the life of the victim of a narcissistic abusive relationship. Correction, I'm a survivor. I was a victim until I realized I was a victim. Then I became a survivor. It will behoove you to do the same. But yeah, because of all these levels of abuse and these mental breakdowns that happen after the relationship, they abandon you. You don't get an explanation. You don't get an apology. Most of the time, anybody connected to you only has their version, or if they might cut you off too. So you're just left in this limbo of what the hell just happened. What just happened? How did we get here? Because I promise you, with a narcissist, you'll wake up that morning in the perfect relationship. It is beautiful bliss. And by 12 o'clock in the afternoon, it is Armageddon. It doesn't make sense. It's never made sense until I started studying this subject. Started researching. I'm a Capricorn. We research. And the more I researched, the more I realized, oh, this goes deeper than just a breakup. I always suggest that when you're breaking up with a narcissist, you know that there are certain things that you take into consideration. The abuse, the abuse has to be addressed because most of us didn't realize we were being abused. We don't know until we know. But once you know better, you do better. Get you a strong support system and make sure that you seek counseling. I am still in therapy. No one will ever understand what I truly went through in that marriage. But through my testimony, hopefully I can help you through your journey, because I know it's not easy and it is a daily battle. I invite you to follow my crazy. Each one teach one, each one reach one. Please like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my content.